My name is Rathini. I feel like I'm living two lives because earlier when I was younger, I had a very difficult life, whereas now it feels more normal, if that makes sense. I'm adopted, so is my sister, and my mom at the time, my adopted mom at the time, was not mentally able to look after me. She was very disturbed, and that was very evident while I was growing up. So there were a lot of episodes and a lot of screaming and a lot of trauma that went along with it. My dad and my mom at that time, my adopted parents, but I just call them parents, they were together for 34 years. And it was a very difficult childhood because I never used to stay in my house. I used to stay in my grandmom's house, which was 2 doors away, because I never liked being alone there. I felt very lonely. To be honest, I would say I didn't really have a mom growing up when I was till the age of 6 years old. It was mostly my grandmom that looked after me and took care of me. My dad used to travel a lot for work, and she really shaped me in who I am today. She was a very wonderful woman, a woman of prayer. She used to pray about the most silliest things, but I now know that it's not silly. She used to pray about her losing her keys, and that showed me the importance of how even like the little things as losing keys was just, with prayer, anything. She'd be like, oh, I forgot to do this, and she'd start praying about it. I used to ask her, why are you praying about silly things? Like, I used to think God was so big and he's got a million things to do. Why would he listen to your little concern about a key? And I used to ask my grandmother a lot. And then after she passed away is when I realized that even the littlest of things, he hears it, because it's just her, that she always knew that she had someone to talk to. It was always knowing that her father was there, and he was loving, and he was kind, and he was patient, and he was willing to listen. And that was something I now understand, but before then I didn't when I was a kid. So my mom committed suicide, actually in front of me. I had a couple of friends with me at that time, and she was sitting at a ledge in the building, on top of our building, and I was 6 years old at the time, and I was calling her, "Mom, look at me," from the house below, and she said hi, and she jumped off, and she hit my bike, and there was a lot of blood, and it was very traumatizing. But the friends that were with me, unfortunately, they witnessed it too, but they were kids too, but they said a certain word that it took me years to get out of. They said that it was my fault and that I called her, and that's why she jumped. And then it took me about 5-6 years of therapy to realize it wasn't my fault, even though people have said it multiple times. But that guilt was always there. And my dad remarried to my now wonderful mom. She was my best friend first. I keep telling my dad that. She got married to my dad, and it was very difficult. I didn't have a normal childhood growing up. I was very out of routine. I earned for that mother's love a lot. And it was really nice to have my mom come into the picture. I still call her my mom because she's the one that raised me. And they got married, and I was about 10 that time. And then I got this little bundle of the most annoying pest of a creature, my sister, come into my life as well. It was such a wonderful addition at that time. But I was still struggling a lot because of the past that I had. And I had a lot of bullying growing up as well. I've always earned for that love from people. So I had a period of my time in my life where I used to go above and beyond for people and give them things that I had to make them like me. And I used to get rejected again and again and again and again, because that's how I thought I needed to earn the love. And when I was about 16 years old, I was having a really tough time. I actually self-harmed quite a bit, and I was dealing with anxiety and depression, and my parents didn't really know how to help. Even though I was going to a therapist at that time, it wasn't the complete help that I needed. I felt like I needed something more above and beyond than humans to control me and sort of guide me along the way. And at that time, my mom and dad got to know about the steps to freedom in Christ, and they did it themselves. My dad had a lot of trauma with him as well. So did my mom, and they kind of walked through it. And at that time, my dad couldn't fast, so my mom fasted for me and prayed for me. But she told me that I had become very calm, and I had been very much mellowed in a way that I was going to be okay. Before, I was all over the place and with constant anxiety and constant nervousness. But after she had fasted and prayed, I was not without worry, but I was calmer than I was before. Then a year later, she told me about what she had done for herself, and she told me that this is called the steps of freedom in Christ that I walked through. And this really helped me because I prayed for you and our family, and I wanted you to feel some freedom from what you had gone through. And I, at that time, walked through the steps myself with a counselor in India. And I think that has helped me tremendously, because I was carrying around so much guilt and blame and this yearning for love that I had. And I've always tried to seek for it in people with my relationships that I've had, or past boyfriends, or whatever it might be. I used to lay in my bed at night just feeling like a hole in my heart, just wanting to be loved, because I felt that if my birth parents could have abandoned me, and my adopted mom killed herself and she didn't want to be my mom because she ended her own life, I felt that nobody wanted to stay. And that was very hard, because it's kind of hard knowing that no one wants to be around you or want to, stay there for you. So that was something that I had to work through, and knowing that God's going to be there no matter what. He will love me no matter what, even if I make the worstest mistakes. He's just like that best friend you could ever have, that is going to give you a hug no matter how bad it is, and knowing that He will love you not because of the things that I have or the people that I know or the connections that I built. It's just who He is, and He's like that warm person that you come to the end of the day. For me, my relationship with Him has always been a best friend, because I felt lonely a lot of the times, and I still do, but I have still deal with anxiety, but not so much depression, because I know that I am forgiven, and I know I'm okay, and I'll be okay as long as I have God. And that peace that I have, I can't really describe it to words, but knowing that in the end of the day that I have someone more powerful and more amazing than any man can do, that's something that makes me feel so much safer.